to Pets Life with Gym Dog, Ireland's first pet resort by Des the Vet. Managed by vets, loved by pets. Daycare, vet care, premium pet food and grooming. Visit at petslife.ie.
All right, we are live in studio with Des the Vet. And if you couldn't tell already, I could hardly contain my excitement in the studio already. Des, very welcome along. How are you keeping?
How are you, Vicky? Great to be here. I'm in good form this morning, thanks.
Good, good. So, listen, it's just serendipity that I'm here today and you're here today, because the topic is something that's very close to my heart. Tell us what it is.
Yeah, cats. We're going to talk about cats. Serendipity. That's a great word.
Do you like that word? I'm not even sure what it means.
Yeah,
Des.
yeah. You know your man that wrote all the poems about cats. It's like a kind of a word he'd slip in.
See, there you go.
Yeah,
I am a self-confessed crazy cat lady, Des.
Well, we'll try and cater to that.
Great.
Fetish today.
Another great word for early morning radio.
Yeah.
So, cats behaving badly. Now, as I like to say, cats behaving badly, or is it just cats being cats, Des?
Okay, so cats exist on a spectrum of domestication. They're not as domesticated as dogs. There haven't been a little bit of history about cats. So they were first domesticated in the Iran-Iraq area about 12,000 years ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so the earliest cat skeletons were found 10 to 12,000 years ago in areas where agriculture was at its beginnings, at its technological infancy. And they were domesticated because whenever people started to harvest grain and put grains into storage, you had rodents coming about the place. And people realised that if they were going to store food over a long period of time, for instance, to have food for the winter, they were going to have to find a way of keeping the rodents away.
Yeah.
And so they domesticated, they encouraged this species of feral cat, a kind of a small lynx of a desert cat that was in this region of Mesopotamia where agriculture started. They domesticated this one species of a small feral cat.
Right, so they came from the lynx.
Came from the lynx.
Yeah.
Came from the lynx. And see, they're so different from dogs because dogs were domesticated about 40,000 years ago. They were domesticated to assist humans with hunting. Whereas cats were domesticated to do their own thing, to do their own job.
And they haven't changed a bit.
They haven't changed a bit. So they do their own thing, they do their own job. They're not a pack animal. So they're very different. So when we say cats behaving badly, I'm going to tell you a story about that.
Yeah.
And it was a new one for me in 30 years working as a vet. There was a lady in with me the other day and she said she lived in an apartment. She had a male cat and a female cat and they didn't go out very much by choice. She said she would offer them the option to go outside occasionally, but they didn't want to, they didn't bother. Right. And that's because she had them both as kittens and they probably had never got into the habit of getting out and hunting much. So she had this big male, neutered, domestic cat, and my guess is he's bored, he's frustrated, all these things. His natural instincts are thwarted. His natural instincts are not being expressed properly, even though he doesn't realise.
He doesn't realise it, yeah.
And he's destructive and he's a terrorist. And she doesn't know what to do about it. Now, he does stuff like, right, he wakes her up in the middle of the night. I said to her, would you not shut the bedroom door? He says, I do shut the bedroom door, and he doesn't let me go asleep. He howls at the door. He hangs off the door on the other side, howling until I open the bedroom door. I have to open all the doors in the house at night, and he decides if he's going to sleep or not going to sleep. But mostly he prowls.
Right, because that's what cats do.
I often wake up with him on my face. And occasionally, if I don't wake up on time when he's on my face on the pillow beside me, he'll dig in the claws.
Oh no!
Yeah, and this is where it gets a bit scary.
That's scary.
Dig in the claws on the cheeks and the ears. She says usually he goes for the ears. He'd bite me.
Wow! In the middle of the night while she's asleep. I
said that's
terrifying.
It sounds a little bit scary.
Yeah,
I wouldn't like that. Well, no, he's very good, really. She says.
Well, I talk about making excuses for him, but go on.
Yeah. So this is what he does. So if he doesn't get enough attention at night, he'll sleep for a couple of hours. Then he has to be let out onto the windowsill.
Okay.
And come back in again. And he also has to be fed about every 4 hours. So he needs to be fed at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Like a baby.
Like having a new baby. He will wake her at 4ish and he has to be fed. That's it. That's a non-negotiable.
And would you not leave the food out for them? Can they not graze as they go, or is that not recommended?
Yeah, that's not recommended. When she says every time she does that, he just eats everything and he still looks for more anyway.
Sounds like myself, then.
Yeah, he still looks for it. So he seems to have no ability to regulate or moderate. Okay. I'm guessing he's extremely frustrated. And these are all, to use a big word, stereotypical behaviours. And the very best thing for him would be probably to be driven to a farm. Yeah.
Right.
And given the option to go on, off you go. like
Right.
one else's lion cubs. Out you go, born free, off to the
And let
jungle
'em
with
go.
you. Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
I think as well, I have a lot of cats, right? Now,
Mm-hmm.
I've had cats, I have cats that stay at home. And they're happy to stay at home. I'll open the window, they won't even go out the window. They want
Yeah.
to sleep in the bed with me, treated like children. And I've other cats that I've got that are gasping to get out. The minute I open the window, they're gone. I can't
Right.
keep them in. Is it a thing that some cats are just more inclined to be a bit more domestic than others?
Yeah, that's exactly
Just
right.
personality.
It is. So their preferences are coloured by their very early kitten life experiences.
Okay.
So how fearful are they? How anxious are they? Have they learned that the world is a dangerous place, or have they developed to live out and hunt and play and be recreational and fend for themselves? So it boils down to how streetwise they get a chance to be as kittens.
Right.
Yeah.
So they really are very intelligent, emotionally intelligent animals.
Well, they're emotionally intelligent. They have a very, very strong survival instinct. You know this idea of kittens, small cats, young cats getting killed on the road?
Yes.
Yeah, unfortunately. That's a little bit like Russian roulette. They either learn their lesson once
Or they won't.
or
Yeah,
splat, that's it, they're gone.
Of course. The 9 lives won't protect them when it
No,
comes to
but
it.
this is where the intelligence comes in, because they seem to only need about one fright, one scare, and they do learn.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
yeah,
great. So they kind of,
yeah.
if they get one good scare, that'll keep them off the road.
Yeah, like your outdoor cat, your cat that comes and goes and has maybe lived outside as a kitten, those cats look to be let out at night and they'll hunt and they'll come back in the morning invariably. And as I say, if they survive the first scare and they survive their early life of being out and about and in contact with traffic people, dogs, etc., if they survive that, they'll seem to soldier on for the next 15, 16 years. They learn lessons quickly and they learn them once and they take it on board and they become very cunning. Very,
They do.
very wily in that regard. Yeah.
I've been lucky now with my cats, I have to say. Like, we haven't had any fatalities. And we kind of let them do their own thing. And I learned that early. Let them do their own thing. And they'll kind of let you do your own thing.
Yeah. Now, if you had an adult cat that was an apartment cat and you moved and you tried to adapt your apartment cat to living in a house, having a garden, having an outdoor natural life, that could be tricky.
How would you
very
go
hard
about that? That's something I'd like to know, because a lot of people, especially in this day and age, with the rate of people moving and they go from apartments to houses in different locations, I always was told that when you move, you keep the cat in for a couple of months so they get used to the home environment before you let them out again. But like, what is the state of play to do?
So, you see, a week or two would be enough.
Oh, okay.
You move to a new house, you give them a week or two to get used to the indoors. Then you want to start transitioning that cat into having a balanced life of being indoors, outdoors. So what you do is you let them out for maybe half an hour at a time when they're hungry into your garden.
Right.
And you teach them to stay close to the back door to be fed, and you teach them to come back to be fed.
Right, so you're kind of giving them the reward system to come back.
It's all about incentivising them not to go too far, and initially you let them out under very close supervision, like letting a puppy out in the garden, or like letting a puppy out the front door. Very, very close, very tight supervision, and call them back and feed them. So let them out when they're hungry, call them back, reward them, and teach them just to come and go only very short distances initially. And you'll be able to extend that outdoor time bit by bit.
Right.
And your cat then will adapt to his own environment. Now, if you're lucky or lucky-ish in that sort of a scenario, there'll be other cats in the neighbourhood, and they'll stake their claim to the territory around the area.
And I can say I've witnessed this.
Yeah, say 4 or 5 cats in a housing estate, and one cat owns all the territory between 1 and 5, and another cat owns all the territory between number 5 and number 10. And, you know, that's the way it goes.
And you don't mess with them.
Don't mess with that.
Yeah.
And if you're unlucky and you move into number 6, your cat could be terrorised, because the fella in number 5...
He's running the show.
He's running the show.
That's it. You have to just fall into line.
You would.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a mysterious little world of cat society that we know nothing about until we stumble onto it.
Or until the neighbours start knocking on your door and complaining. Because I'll tell you, Des, I'll be honest with you, I have 2 tomcats. They're brothers, and I have their mother as well. And lovely little cats. The amount of people, though, that come to me, they are the neighbourhood terrorists. And I mean, they sit in the wall, and people say they're not doing it deliberately. They are. They're sitting on that wall tormenting them dogs as they're going out for the walk.
They do that.
They love it. It's like a sport to them.
It is a game.
Yeah, they're in bins and they're all over the place. And to be honest, I've stopped answering the door. So, I know those cats. I own them.
Yeah, it can be hard to understand or to fathom the differences between dogs and cats. If you're used to dogs and you have an inkling or an understanding of dog nature to an extent, and then you get a cat, your cat will seem very distant and mysterious in comparison to the dog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about cats and dogs? Because people that love animals, right? And I'm quite a realist now, when people say about cats, you should get another cat to keep the cat company. I'd say the cats don't want company. Cats aren't like a pack animal.
Yeah, so you're right, that's true.
Yeah, but if you you see people getting dogs and cats.
It can work.
It can. It sometimes works, but is there a way to kind of tip the scales in your favour, or is it just potluck?
So if you get a puppy and you have an older cat first, that tends to work quite well, because the older cat puts manners on the puppy and teaches the dog pup to keep its distance.
Okay.
And that dog then forevermore will probably respect that cat and won't cross the cat's boundaries.
Right, so...
And will respect the cat's space. So an older cat will usually teach a puppy. That works quite well.
That's how it works.
Yeah, but if you get a kitten and bring a kitten into an older dog environment, that mightn't work, because your older dogs mightn't accept cats, mightn't like cats. You have to be very careful. You can be very surprised to discover that your dog could kill the cat for no reason.
For no reason. But it's nature, and I think people forget sometimes. We were talking about this off air, that even though we want them to be our fluffy little babies and stuff, they are still animals, so their natural instinct is always going to come into play no matter what we do.
You need to do a bit of research and thinking and understanding in terms of what their natural needs actually are.
Yeah.
Yeah. Differences between cats and dogs. I gave you 5 words now, kind of summarise the difference between cats and dogs. And the first word is, nocturnal.
You see,
Nocturnal?
Yeah.
Nocturnal. About the lady being terrorised by her badly behaved tomcat. So they're hunters. Their optimum time for hunting are dawn and dusk. And they only sleep for small spaces of time in between, and they love to sleep during the day and conserve their energy so that they can hunt. So they're partially nocturnal, whereas dogs are not.
So out the window at night, go on. Yeah. Out for a bit of a hunt, come back in the morning.
Yeah, and the second word then is predatory.
Okay, yes.
Predatory means they are hunters.
Yep.
They are predators. That's why they were domesticated, because they're predators, because they want to hunt little mammals, little birds and mice and voles and all the little creatures. Unfortunately, they're predatory hunters. Whereas dogs are not really predatory, because dogs are descended from or evolved from a scavenger.
And it can be quite traumatic as a cat owner if you're not used to cats. Yeah. I'm used to them. And as I said to you before we come on, I wake up some mornings to the front step now, and there's a few gifts there, and it can be quite traumatic. So you have to be aware of that before you bring a cat into your life.
See, they're going to they decimate the bird population in different areas. So if you're a cat owner, I would say to you, probably don't have bird feeders in your garden if you're a cat owner.
Worst thing.
Yeah, don't encourage birds around.
Don't be giving them a game to play out the back garden.
Don't be giving your cats a game. Don't be giving your cats a game. Let the other houses up the street do the bird feeding thing, and hopefully your cats won't get to kill too many birds. So that's important.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you know that when they jumped off the ships in Australia with the first settlers to Australia in the 16th century or whenever it was, they had cats on the ships because the cats were there to keep the mice away in the ships.
And they are great little
and they're great for
cleaners.
That.
Yeah.
So when they landed in Australia and they all got off the wooden ships, all the people and all the settlers and all the poor convicts that were there for their conscription, right? And the cats jumped off with them and ran and went wild.
Wow.
Yeah, unfortunately, within about 100 years, cats had multiplied to millions and millions in Australia and have decimated certain species of little small marsupials and mammals and birds. Yeah, in Australia.
Wow.
Yeah.
There is a lot of stray cats in Australia. A lot
of stray cats. In certain countries in Europe, a lot of stray cats too. We don't have so many strays here in Ireland probably as we used to, but they are still out there. And the reason stray cats can survive and thrive, obviously, is because of this thing of them being predatory, that they hunt away. And they're secretive and they survive.
And they survive. Talk to me about this, a very important question, because everyone has an opinion on this. Neutering your cats. Should they be neutered immediately?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a male cat now in particular, I'd neuter a male cat at 5 months as soon as he's old enough to neuter. They become calmer, more domesticated, more socialised. They bond with people better. They become altogether happier and less stressed if they're neutered nice and young. No testosterone, less of the predatory instincts, less of the territorial instincts, less of the hunting instincts and the aggression the earlier they're neutered. And they become lovely clean house cats if they're neutered early. Right. Similarly, the females should be neutered early because they'll come into heat at 5 months and they'll get pregnant as quick as a flash. Yeah. As quick as a flash.
The minute they get out.
The minute they get out, and litters of kittens are cute and all the rest of it, but there are too many of them out there, and you just need to neuter your females, because you'd be surprised when she's in heat and she gets out, there'll be some wandering stray Lothario in the neighbourhood and he will catch her, no doubt.
The Lothario, the love machine of the neighbourhood.
That's
now,
it.
We've a couple of questions coming in here now on the text, right? Now, the first one I'm going to go to because I'm being biased because I want to know the answer to this question myself.
All right.
A big thing, cat pee, right?
Oh, yeah.
Marie from Maynooth has said that she has a cat and he has started to pee all over her house. And no matter what she does, he's spraying things. So, what do we know why they're doing that? Is there a reason for it? That's certainly bad behaviour in my eyes. And I know I have a cat that does that.
Yeah, it is. Well, I'm guessing that this is a new behaviour in an older male cat. So this thing about why would you neuter a male cat very young?
Right.
They spray as a male territorial marking behaviour. The minute testosterone courses through their veins and they hit adolescence and they announce to the world, I'm here and where are the women? Right? The first thing they will do is start spraying.
Very similar to just,
They will start spraying just to advertise themselves. Right?
Wow.
Yes, from 5 months of age, and it stinks and it's awful.
It's awful. Cat pee now is pungent, potent, and it destroys things, and it takes days for it to go.
So you have to neuter them as early as possible so that this doesn't happen. That's the first thing.
So that's back to neutering.
Yeah.
So you don't neuter your male cats in particular, you're going to end up with this bad behaviour.
And it stinks.
Right.
Yeah. Now, this lady, it sounds like possibly this is an older cat that has never done this behaviour before and now has started to do it. So if an older cat starts to do this all of a sudden, there's two reasons. Either a urinary tract and or kidney.
Oh, okay. Could be serious.
Problem. Could be serious. Right? Or it could be stress.
Oh, yeah, they do get quite stressed, don't they?
So stress is the big thing with cats. Cats, because they're territorial and they're solitary and they're not pack animals and all the rest of it, right, they get lots of health issues when they're very stressed. And they get very stressed very easily. Any type of a sudden change in their environment can be enough to trigger a health issue.
Wow.
So a sudden change in toileting behaviour like that can be an indicator of a stress response, or it can be an indicator of a urinary tract and kidney infection.
Right, so Maria,
you have a health problem there.
You need to get it checked, get it looked at, especially, we didn't say in the message, if he's neutered, so if he's not neutered, he needs to be neutered and or could be stress related or something like that.
But that behaviour is always a reason to visit the vet and have it investigated.
And just get it looked at.
Yeah.
I have one more for you there.
Good.
Somebody said, my daughter's cat has just had new babies, doesn't know what to do with them. Kitten.
Doesn't it? What does she, yeah, okay, so which direction now is she going in with this question? What to do with them? As in, well, first of all, they're a few days old. The mother cat doesn't have a clue what to do. The mother cat. Doesn't have a clue what to do.
The mother cat. Now, I have had this experience now, but I want to get your professional opinion on it. My cat didn't have a clue.
Okay, so
I kept leaving them.
Yeah, sure, look, usually nature is very, very good, and usually cats figure these things out for themselves. Okay, sometimes, occasionally, sadly, tragically, you'll have a young female, first-time cat mother, and she doesn't know what to do, perhaps because her own mother abandoned her, and she didn't learn anything, and didn't learn what to do. And didn't learn about nurturing.
Yes.
So, what you're going to have to do now, unfortunately, listener, is you're going to have to go and buy cat milk in the pet shops and little bottles.
Little bottles. I've done it. So we've done it. 12-hour shift.
Yeah, I'm afraid so. These little kittens are going to need 5 or 6 meals a day.
Yeah.
Of a couple of...
They're babies. They're essentially new babies.
The babies, they're going to drink 1 to 2 mils of milk initially at a time, and it'll increase to 5 to... And they're going to need at least 4 feeds a day, maybe 6 feeds a day. And it's a bit of work. Yeah. And if you're lucky, you'll get them onto a bit of solid food at about 2 weeks of age. And what you do with them when their eyes are open is you stand their feet and their paws and their nose and everything into a bowl of nice mushy cat milk and cat food mixed together. So you make them a kind of a slushy mix.
And let them go in at it.
And let them learn to kind of take on board solids.
Yeah.
And let them go in at it. You get it on their feet, on their paws and on their nose, and then they lick it off. And that's how they learn to eat and drink for themselves.
You see, and this is another thing as well. Just, I think that's the final message that we want to reinforce. Like, they're any animal, but in particular cats as well. I think people get cats because they think they're easy breezy. They're not as much work, you know. It's a huge commitment.
Can be.
Emotionally, physically, financially as well, because I think a lot of people get animals and they don't realise the financial cost involved of the upkeep, their health, if you want to keep your cat healthy, happy and thriving. Do you know what I mean? So before you kind of get the animal, do your research. Isn't that what you were saying to me?
Figure out if your lifestyle and your house and your environment and your family dynamic suits a cat or a dog, and figure out which to get. You might be very motivated to get a dog. If you are, you need to be an active person and have a busy social house and have people at home a lot of the day and have a plan in place to care for this dog on a full-time basis and manage a dog and make sure it's not left barking in the garden. So the dog thing involves commitment. Now the cat thing involves space and understanding that there's a bit of work in it. Cat litter and cat litter trays and cat beds and cat water bowls and cat food bowls, and you have to have a place to put all these things. And you have to have a space and a place to give this cat.
It has to have its own, and it has to be able to do its own thing. You have to just figure out when it gets there what kind of a cat you're dealing with.
Now you might live right beside a main road, and the chances are your cat isn't going to be killed on the road. You might have to keep that cat indoors all the time. If you're an apartment dwelling person, remember you're going to have a cat indoors all the time, so it'll increase your I suppose your cleaning,
your
workload in the house. If you have a nice bit of a garden and you live in a sort of a suburban environment, then that's ideal because your cat will have some outdoor space and some indoor space and have the best of both worlds. Have a nice balanced life. But ideally that's best is a cat that's able to go out and able to express his natural emotions and his natural instincts. Cats that are going to be apartment dwelling, that are going to be just indoor cats, remember they can get stress. They can get boredom related behaviours. They need stuff like more toys, more places to play. They need scratch posts. Maybe they need one of those water fountain things for the running water because they prefer to drink water that's moving, that's running, than not. So you need to put a plan in place to manage the welfare and the socialisation and the lifestyle and the lifetime of this cat.
Cats love an accessory. They're a glamorous animal. I can vouch for that myself. They like their accessories. And but you know yourself, I tell you, all the work you put into the cat, there's nothing like the feeling when the cat chooses you to sit on your lap, for that afternoon.
They can be very affectionate. Can be very affectionate, very social, and they can be very vocal and talk to you and talk back to you. And as I say, the level of domestication on them there's a spectrum there. Some of them will always be semi-feral all their lives, and that's their personality and their instinct and their nature. And some of them become truly domesticated and can be a proper pet and a proper companion, just like a dog.
Now, before we go, have you one word to sum up cats before we go? If you were to use a word?
Mysterious.
Brilliant. Absolutely fantastic. That was Des the vet with cats not behaving badly, cats just being cats. We'll be back after this.
It's a pet's life with Gym Dog, Ireland's first pet resort by Des the vet. Managed by vets, loved by pets. Daycare, vet care, premium pet food and grooming. Visit at petslife.ie.